Welcome back to the Are You in the Book podcast. My name is Eric Wobanaw, the president of the Baseball Bluebook, and today we have a special guest with us, Coach Darrel Handelsman, a highly respected leader in the baseball development. With over 30 years of experience, Darrel has built a reputation of shaping athletes into top-tier players, both on and off the field. His commitment to the game and the players he mentors is unmatched. If you're looking for insights into player development and what it takes to succeed, you won't want to miss this conversation. So, are you in the book? Let's get started. Coach, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Eric. Glad to be here.
Well, I appreciate you joining us and looking forward to getting to know you a little bit and learning about you and the programs that you're leading. Why don't you begin with just a quick introduction and kind of, where you came from? The way we say it is your journey to where you are today.
Yeah, I started as a junior college player a long time ago in Los Angeles and played at College of the Canyons. And I just missed Mike Gillespie had just left and went to USC. So I just missed him by 1 year, but was fortunate enough to be in the program was amazing still, obviously. And spent 1 year there redshirting and then went to Los Angeles Valley College and played 2 years there, and then eventually when my not so stellar playing career was over, I headed back down to LA Valley to work for the same coach, Chris Johnson, that I had played for at LA Valley. And he was, nice enough to give me an opportunity and allow me to fail and allow me to make a million mistakes and learn as I went, and spent about 5 years there. And my first 4-year school job, I then was able to go to New Mexico Highlands University, where I worked for Steve Jones, who's an amazing guy and an amazing coach. And from there, I spent just a very short time at San Jose State as a volunteer assistant. Then I was at Centenary College in Shreveport, Louisiana, which at the time was the smallest Division I school in the country, about 1,200 students. And we played in a very competitive Atlantic Sun, which was really good. That was my first real Division I coaching opportunity. And then, then I made some other stops along the way at various places. But during that time, I was fortunate enough to start out in the Northwoods League. And that kind of came in the summer of 1996, I believe. And I was still coaching at LA Valley. And one of our players, one of my pitchers there, had signed a letter of intent to go play at Nevada Reno. And at the time, Nevada Reno was one of the big feeders into the Northwoods League at the beginning of the Northwoods League. I think they were in their third year of existence. And at the time, the staffs in the Northwoods League were extremely small, 2 coaches per staff. It was bare bones. There was only 6 teams in the league. And anyway, the pitcher from my school reached out to the head summer coach that year and found out they didn't have a pitching coach, and referred me to him to say, hey, would you be interested? Anyway, I spoke to Todd Egan was his name, and he offered me an opportunity to come out there with no money, no pay, had to pay my own travel, would get me with the promise of getting a host family, and that was really about it. And I'll tell you what, the first night there, I absolutely fell in love with everything having to do with summer baseball and the entire thing, the way it worked, and was fortunate enough by the end of that summer, going as an unpaid assistant, to be offered the head coaching job in Kenosha the next summer. And I spent the next 8 summers in the Northwoods League in a few different cities, and really where I really started to make a lot of connections and meet a lot of people and learn from a ton of people, and just see how big the baseball world really was. And that was a great experience for me. And that's taken me, pretty much every relationship I have. And I met my wife through summer baseball, and my first son was born during a summer game. So it's been a really, throughout my career, it's been a really neat thing. And I've been fortunate enough to work with a ton of great people throughout the journey. And, and then I'm so blessed right now to end up where I am. I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time. And the only job kind of came up here earlier this fall. And I feel blessed to have gotten the opportunity. And I've just finished I'm in my 3rd week here now. And I think all of my previous experiences have kind of led me to here and put me in the right place at the right time, I think.
That's awesome. Behind every great man is a greater woman. And it sounds like she's been there with you chasing your dreams. And I think that's fantastic. one of the things I wanted to say while you were kind of going through the list of where you've been is I don't know if people understand what commitment actually is the way it was in the 90s, 80s, 90s. The old school guys had to do this on a hope and a dream and a few dollars in their pocket. And,
yeah. It's I was very fortunate. My first boss, Chris Johnson at LA Valley College, he sat when he was going to hire me, he sat me down and said, look, if you want to have new things and new cars and nice clothes and all these things, don't be a coach. So he prepared me very well and kind of told me what you're getting yourself into. And I was like, where do I sign up? I mean, I was all in from the very beginning, and you're right. It's a lifestyle choice, and it's a big commitment. And a lot of people don't understand I think even nowadays there's a lot more paid jobs right away for younger guys and opportunities. And obviously with the internet and all these things that have come along, it's way easier to find a job. I literally wrote, when I got my degree finally and was ready to leave Valley to go try to find my next job, I went and sent out probably 225 letters to coaches around the country trying to find a job. I didn't know any other way to do it, at the time. And, we were taught, junior college, you got to grind and you got to pay your dues and put your time in. And, and I tell you what, I wouldn't trade any of the stops for anything along the way. Everything has been a unique experience, and I've learned so much, and I've met a ton of great people along the way. I've been in amazing parts of the country. So baseball is truly, whether it's been monetarily rewarding, it's certainly been personally rewarding. And I think I'm a baseball lifer through and through.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's great. It's interesting because the processes have changed a bit. The recruiting has changed a bit, the showcases and the travel teams and everything. But you know what? That commitment and that drive to get to the next level, to continue to excel, that really hasn't changed, Coach. And I think that's what we're really going to talk about today is you have the old school kind of mentality, but you know what? We've got to change to adapt with the times. And I think we talked a little bit about that off air, is learning new things. Why don't you talk a bit about just that process of you've been doing this for a long time. You've got ways that you've done things, but things are changing. Things are the way that we do it. You had mentioned going from sending out letters. The access is there today, but what you need to do really hasn't changed. Talk a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that. There's all this great technology in our game now with the TrackMans and Rapsodos and all these things and pitching labs but I still, I get going here with these guys that most of them are right out of high school, and like you said, they've taken that path of travel ball and all these other things. And I still find, as I'm looking for drills or ways to teach these guys things or show them things, I still find myself going back to the old school drill. You don't need all this technology in order to work and get better, right? I constantly am telling them, it's amazing we were able to play this game before there were Oakleys or Evo Shield or, special batting gloves or any of these things. So as much as I understand that, and I do, and I feel like I need to get myself into the 21st century a little bit, and maybe change some of the ways we talk about things or teach things, or maybe some of the things are just less important now than they were maybe back then as far as how we play the game. I mean, for instance, we're not going to use a wristband for signs. We're still gonna give signs the old-fashioned way. And I think a lot of my experience comes from summer baseball, especially recently, being around so many great players, and you get players from every level, Division I all the way down to NAIA, junior college. There's good players at every place, right? And what you realize is, you see a lot of kids aren't used to taking signs because they play at programs where they might use a wristband right. And so we're learning. And I think as I get older, I just get a little more comfortable in my own skin and a little more confident in what we're teaching. And I certainly understand, as I tell our players every day, there's multiple ways to get things done, right? For us, we want to be true to to the way we want our program to be seen, the way our program DNA is going to be. So everything we do hopefully comes from that. But the teaching methods, yeah, the kids have changed a little bit. They've experienced, they're coming from backgrounds where, playing in that travel ball experience, they're everybody gets a chance and everybody plays. And, this is a different, coming into the college world, obviously is a lot more competitive, and it's the best of the best kids. And, and I like to tell, you look at all the kids you started playing with in Little League, and then compared to how many are still playing by the time you're a high school senior, it's not easy to get through high school. And then to be a college player at any level, kids should be really proud of that. But and then once they get to that level, though, it's an adjustment period. And I think it's our responsibility, to care about them, right, and not judge them based on their results right away, and have a little patience. That's one thing for me as I get older. I really try to remind myself to be a little more patient with these guys. They're so much smarter and so much more informed than they were 30 years ago. You can't BS them. They'll see right through that. So finding ways to connect with them so that they trust you and they'll take that coaching, I think, is really vital.
That's great. So we're on today with Coach Darrel Handelsman, Olney Community College, Olney, Eastern Illinois. You're also the field manager for the Waterloo Bucks with the Northwood League. We'll get into the Northwoods and the Summer League a little bit. You had mentioned a couple things about what Summer League has done for you, but I'd like to talk about the community college. Olney, you had actually said you feel like you're in the right place at the right time. What makes the community college experience for baseball today unique, and why is it such an important part of collegiate baseball?
I think there's a few reasons. Number one is the time we're allowed to spend with them. We have far fewer restrictions than at the Division I level. So I'm with our guys, for as much as we want to be in the fall, basically until November 15th. We're playing an 18-game fall schedule. We were at a couple of junior college showcases where there was a ton of Division I coaches. So the time that you're allowed to be with them, and then the opportunity to play right away is another one. Obviously, if we bring a player in here, we expect them to contribute. We're not planning on redshirting guys. So that from that standpoint, and then I think honestly, the developmental aspect of it. Like here at Olney, we have very small class sizes. It's like a small high school. Basically, the campus is very big as far as acreage, but everything is self-contained in a couple buildings. We have 4 sports on campus. We only have baseball, softball, men's and women's basketball. So you're not fighting in the weight room with 1 million athletes to get in. We have 15 to 20 people per class. So, education is important. Making sure you're doing your job in the classroom is important. And then our players here literally live right across the street from the field. I mean, they're in apartments, 100 yards away from home plate. So the opportunity to be out there and I tell them, if you're just with us only the time we have organized practice, and that's the only time you're working, you're probably not going to get good enough to reach your goals. So, I think that having that everything here on site where they don't have to travel anywhere, they don't have to go anywhere, and then you're with 39 other guys that hopefully feel the same way about developing and getting better. And it's not hard, hopefully, to find a partner that wants to work with you. And, so everything is right here in front of you. Of course, like anything else, you'll get out of it what you put into it. But if players are looking for a place to make an immediate impact, to develop, and then hopefully have opportunities based on what they do here. And my feeling is if you go to class and you do your job in the classroom, there's a place for everybody to play after they get done here. And that's a big part of our responsibility is to, help these guys grow up a little bit and mature a little bit, learn the game and move them on to the next level and be proud of what they do in somebody else's program.
No, I think that's great. You had mentioned something about the weight room. That's certainly something that has changed over the years. Is the focus on the physicality of baseball. And you hear it all the time. You talk about, looking at these guys being college ready and the men among boys. Talk a bit about kind of the changes there and what it's done from just the recruiting process. I mean, you guys are certainly looking at development type players that want to move on. But then you also have the side of being bigger, stronger, faster, and that opportunity. So development means a lot of things now in the world of baseball. Talk a bit about development as a whole and what you are looking for from a coach.
Yeah, Eric, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, to me, the biggest differentiator amongst young players is physicality. I started seeing that in the summers, obviously, where we use wood bats. And playing 70 games in 75 days obviously wears you down a little bit. But the kids, I mean, I have two teenage boys, and that's the one thing I try to stress to them, as it kind of just hit me square. A few years ago, when you look at the players that are successful versus not, especially at this age, the ones that are physical just have an advantage. There's always outliers, and there's guys that are quick twitch guys that aren't the biggest and strongest, but they have great hand-eye coordination or some other skills. But really, especially I think amongst position players, physicality separates everything. And so we see it. Our kids are extreme. And before I even got here, they had a great culture in place here with the former coach, and the work ethic was there. So our kids do yoga twice a week on their own at 6:30 in the morning. They're in the weight room 5 days a week. With varying programs depending on positions and when they're pitching and things like that. But it's a constant, it's an everyday thing. It's something I don't think you can take a day off of. And the sooner these kids get into that in high school at that age and start to really work on that and become part of their routine, the better they're going to be. And I can say without a doubt that the kids these days eat much better. They take care of themselves much better, with all these apps and all these special watches, and guys can track their recovery and all these different things. I mean, there's a ton of information. I think we have to be careful how we use some of that information, but overall, the kids are much bigger, faster, stronger, right? Like in every sport nowadays. And that's which leads me back to, one of the big frustrations is I don't think the mental side has grown. And the baseball IQ has grown at the same rate as the physicality has grown. So I think we need to, it can't just be one-sided.
Oh, that's a great point, Coach. The focus on strength it's like all that you ever hear anymore. And it's amazing. It's the commitment that they have. I've interviewed players that have been recruited, not just recruited, but drafted, and watching their daily regimen is just, it's pretty amazing what they have to do in order to just compete at that next level. Same thing from high school to college. But one of the things that you don't hear a lot is that mental side and mental kind of / baseball IQ. Coach, that comes into the recruiting. As a coach, when you're seeing this and the understanding, and I revert it back to social media, everything's highlights, everything is quick clips. You don't ever sit down and watch a game. You can literally go on YouTube 20 minutes after the game and you can watch a 10-minute recap of the entire game with just the highlights. You're not learning anything, right? You didn't see the bunt to get the guy to second. You didn't see the sacrifice fly or somebody missing a cutoff man. You see nothing that helps from a development, from an IQ perspective. You just see the bomb that wins the game at the end. Talk a bit about how do you weed that through? How do you, as a recruiting person, bringing these guys in, how do you do that? How do you differentiate somebody that understands the game versus just has the physical attributes to play it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're right. I always wonder why nobody ever posts videos of them striking out or giving up a home run or making an error. Like I would honestly sign a kid like that on the spot. If he would post an error and say, "Hey, I made a mistake on this and I kicked this ball, but I learned from it and I'm going to get better." Because we're all fallible. Obviously, baseball is a huge game of failure. And, I know that's the world we're living in now. But that always struck me as kind of just interesting that kids aren't posting that kind of stuff. But, I I guess number one thing, and what I've identified since I've been here, is we want to identify the best high school programs in the area, right? So we're recruiting a lot of Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky. I want to know what the 10 best coach programs are. So I figure if we can get a kid that's already kind of had some of this exposure, it makes our job a little easier and maybe speeds up the process a little bit. I think the thing you have to assume is they all come from, they don't know anything. Right. And obviously we want to play the way we want to play, and our system and the way we play is probably different than most. Right. And just the way I like to play the game. So it takes some time, and it definitely what I found, it takes kids with a passion for baseball and a high baseball IQ. And just in my travels, and when just everywhere I've been, it just seems that there's some serious, what's the right way to put it? Lack of knowledge. Yeah, just there's just not a lot of teaching going on, right? There's a lot of promising and a lot of exposure and a lot of all those things, but I want kids. We want kids in our program that have a passion for baseball, that love baseball. I guess you'd call it like a gym rat in basketball. Like we want the same kind of kid that just loves talk. Like obviously, I love talking about the game. I love talking about situations. And then the more you know, the deeper you can get into those things, and the more you can learn. So for me, that's a big part of this. And I feel like I'm on a mission to stamp out ignorance in baseball. And like all these people that are getting lessons from hitting coaches and pitching coach, like I wish somebody would just do a classroom for an hour and teach these kids about the rules and why baseball is the greatest game, and why it takes more than physical ability to be successful. And because as well as I do, at some level, whether that's in high school, junior college, Division I, professional baseball, the talent's going to even out. And what's the separator? What makes the difference? Why does one team win and another team doesn't? I think it's all these intangibles, and it's not necessarily the team with the highest payroll or the most talent or the most NIL money or whatever those things are. There's no I don't think there's any substitute for just, trying to learn by your mistakes, and reinforce the things that are important. And then it just comes down to me to respecting the game. So we tell our players that our goal is to beat the game every day, right? We're not trying to beat anybody that we're playing. We just need 9 guys on the other side to play the game. But if we throw strikes and we play catch and we have quality at bats and we run the bases well, that's beating the game, right? And it doesn't matter who your opponent is. And that's what we strive for every single day. Some days it's easier than others, obviously, but you should be a complete player, right? And I think I find, if nothing else, there's way too many kids playing these days that aren't passionate about baseball. They don't even know why they're playing, and I kind of saw that, I don't know, a few years ago in the summers where you get guys these experiences should be the best times of your lives. And guys can't wait to go home or do whatever. And it's like, it gets frustrating because, if you really truly love this game and you're really truly passionate about it, you never want that stuff to stop.
Coach, I could talk to you forever about this. This is just an old school guy just wanting to talk about the game. Here's my challenge to the players that are watching this. I challenge you to go ahead and put a highlight video in the Baseball Blue Book on a error, right? Yeah, Coach Handelsman would love to see that. I also, the other thing you're talking about is just the education of the game and understanding the game. Heck, how did the Mets make it to the ALCS? I think it was a safety squeeze that beat the Padres. You don't see that either. I mean, that right there was a perfect executed play that you typically don't see. There's no metrics that's going to measure if that thing's going to work. There was no ball spin. There wasn't anything. It was a perfectly executed play that allowed this team to go to the next level. And that's what I love. That's the game I love.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I mean, that's how we'll play here at Olney. That's how my teams in the summers have played. We'll bunt, push, drag. We'll steal a ton of bases. We want to play fast. So nothing makes me happier to see because, like you said, that's just a well-calculated baseball play when you're first and third. The first baseman can't charge, and all you got to do is put the ball on the grass and it's a free run. I was always fascinated when I first started coaching, and I'd always use the example, when I first started, the Atlanta Braves were everything, right? And you would see them in the World Series all the time. And I would say, man, if they had the winning run at second base and nobody out and Chipper Jones up, he wasn't going to bunt, right? No matter what. And that's to win the World Series, right? To get the winning run to third base to win the World Series. And they're not going to bunt. I mean, so that kind of stuff right there always kind of just sat wrong with me. And, we want to play unselfish baseball and team baseball, which means giving up yourself for your teammates. And, that's why they call it a sacrifice bunt, and you still see guys wanting to run out of the box before they bunt it. And, I have to explain to them, we've already said we're sacrificing you, you're out. So just do your job for your teammate. Team baseball, it's great to see in the playoffs, at least now that these teams are trying to find ways to win the game, because there's always way more ways than you think of. And it seems to me, when as good as the pitching is in the big leagues, it would be way easier to get a bunt down than to try to get a hit off of one of those guys.
Isn't that the truth? No, that's true. One of the things that I love, and it's a challenge with baseball, is it is a team sport, but it's individual how they get there, right? I mean, and I think that's the challenge, right? It's I have to individually perform in order to get to that next level, but at the end of the day, it's a team sport, and it's like you said, it's a sacrifice. You're sacrificing your stats, you're sacrificing your highlight in order for your team to be better. And I love how you place that. That was really good. Now, the Northwoods League. One of the things I absolutely love about the summer ball is it's a return to the old school American Legion ball. It's the almost a kind of a town supported leagues. I mean, Northwood is amazing. There's a lot of good summer balls. Talk a bit about the summer ball. And you've already kind of alluded to it. You picking up different things, but I always envisioned that's old school. These guys are the best of the best. They're coming together on a summer ball. It's collegiate players. Talk a bit about that, how you get involved in it, and the type of players that you're looking for in that league as well.
Yeah, it's I've been a huge proponent of it, obviously, for a long time, because I saw it from the very beginning. And the Northwoods League obviously has grown leaps and bounds and is fantastic for the developmental side. And then obviously there's been a ton of leagues to follow, and there's so many now across the country, which is great to see. I think if you want to develop as a baseball player, you need to play year round, which, to be honest, is kind of going by the wayside as well. We can talk about that after the fact that, we used 70 players last year for 30 roster spots in the summer. So, but the opportunity to develop, like you said, these kids come in and they stay with host families in town. The host families don't get paid for that. Now with social media, these people stay friendly and in contact for the rest of their lives, which is a really neat relationship. I always said, without the host families, these teams wouldn't survive, because we can't afford to put these kids up. But these kids come in from all over the country. Each individual organization is allowed to recruit whomever they want, and the league has a portal on a tab on their website for kids to apply into the league. And I personally have taken players every which way possible. I mean, literally, including like somebody's grandfather calling me out of the blue one time. And the kid ends up being Greg Holland, who played in the big leagues for a long, long time. We didn't take him. That's how dumb I was at the time, because who's going to believe that, some 70-year-old dentist that his grandson's a really good baseball player. But so you can find there's good players everywhere. That's the neat thing I think about baseball. I don't think these summer league, you couldn't put one of these on in football or basketball relatively, because kids from junior colleges wouldn't be able to compete with some of these Power 5 schools. But in baseball, that's the neatest thing, is that anybody from any level can compete. We had some players last summer that had close to 300 plate appearances for the summer. I mean, that's like a whole nother college season with a wood bat. We have TrackMan at our stadium, so every bit of information they can extract from the summer. And the biggest thing, the kids that stick it out from the start till the end. So we showed up. Our first game was on Memorial Day, and we finished August 10th. Okay, and so we had, I think, 5 guys that went from the first day till the very last day. It's a grind, and I appreciate the kids that stick it out so much. We used to be able to get through a 64 game season in the Northwoods League with 25 guys. The pitching was, there used to get Friday and Saturday night starters from big schools. That's unheard of now. Like, those guys do not go out and pitch unless they're going to the Cape. And which is disappointing. So you end up with a lot of guys with really good arms, but they need to develop and they need that experience. And I love the Northwoods because it develops not only players, but coaches, front office people, umpires, administrators, all that stuff. And it takes a lot of people coming together to put those things on. And, and now to see, like I said, to see the level the Northwoods League has grown to, is really impressive, and the quality of the baseball is unbelievable. And it just, it's going to continue to grow, I think. And we're going to, here at Olney, all of our guys are going to be responsible to go out and play in the summer. I believe so highly in the fact that it's such a great tool to develop that's going to be priority number 1 for these guys, especially our freshmen. Is to get out into whatever league is appropriate. I think every kid out there can find a league that's probably appropriate to their talent level at this particular time. And then the goal would be obviously to advance and move up. Like, we lose some kids, obviously, that want to go play in the Cape Cod League or things like that. So, and I think it's good for kids to get a lot. I've had kids in the past tell me, hey, I want to play one summer here, because they want to see different parts of the country. I think that's great that a kid has a plan like that. So yeah, obviously I'm a huge proponent of the summer baseball in general. I think it provides such a great learning opportunity for these guys. You're put in the same situation night in and night out, and now, everybody's on a weight program. We have in Waterloo, we have a great relationship with the local health plex, and they have our guys in there for free all the time. Things like that. And then you're traveling, like you said, so you're getting the experience of staying on the road, traveling, stopping at gas stations, twice a day, and as nice as those are now, it's still gas stations. And, and it's so, but to see that when I first started in the Northwoods League, we took 4 minivans on the road. Okay. So I only had 1 assistant coach, which meant 2 players were driving minivans on the road, no cell phones, no GPS. I mean, you talk about a nervous wreck. I was 25 years old, my first head coaching, and I'm scared to death that we're going to lose somebody, right? Or miss a van or something. So now everybody travels on charter buses. It's so much more professional in the atmosphere. And I think that's the goal, is that when kids play, when they go to play pro ball, they've had a little bit of this experience. I know that's kind of what the league was designed for, and that was the thoughts they had in mind when they started it, at least the Northwoods League, that it would mimic minor league baseball. And I think they do a very good job of that. And the exposure, like you said, we had 13 kids in the portal last summer, and every single one of them we found a place for.
That's
so
awesome.
It was, my assistant coach did an amazing job with that. And it was a lot of work, but it was also very gratifying at the same time. And we were really proud of the fact we were able to do that for those guys. And you spend so much time with them in the summer. I mean, literally you're living, you're 12 hours a day with all these guys, that that's the one thing I want to surround myself with kids I want to be around. I don't care how good a player they are, but if you don't have the right personality and you're not a team guy, I tell them all the time, you can't fake it for 11 weeks. You'll be found out. If you're selfish or you're not the right kind of person, there's just too much, and we're together too long. Everybody knows everybody's faults after a while, right? We're together just so much. So I think as I get older, I want the right kind of person, and guys I want to spend time with. And that's what I've really enjoyed. The last 2 summers in Waterloo have been so enjoyable, not for necessarily how we played, but just for the people I had. My assistant coaches were amazing. The young players I had were amazing. And that was really what I got out of that, was the relationships are so valuable, and that's what I'm trying to do here at Olney, is really form those relationships with these guys. I think it's, I would always say we can be so successful in the summer with getting these guys will come in on a Thursday and we start playing on Monday. There's not a lot of time to prepare. And then you have guys coming and going. I said, God, what if I had a team, a group of guys for 2 years? and we had a whole fall to prepare for the spring. How good could we be, and how much could we teach, and how much could we develop? And that's why I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time right now, because here these guys are like sponges and pieces of clay, and they want to learn. They bought in right away. And the amount of teaching we're doing, it's so much fun. And to see these guys respond and listen and want to try to do the things that we're asking them to do has really been rewarding.
That's awesome. 35 minutes. And I feel like I just got a lifetime of advice about baseball. Coach, this has been amazing. One of the points that you had made there was the level of play. Kids from any level of collegiate play can come to these summer leagues and they can play, right? You got D1 guys there, you got JUCO guys, you got NAIA guys, you got the difference, they can come in and they can compete, which is really exciting. The other thing is what I heard, Coach, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the message to parents here is you've got a responsibility here. You got to teach these kids how to be team players, selfless. You got to be committed. Let these coaches coach the baseball. Let them develop them from a physical perspective and the understanding of baseball. But man, come in. These coaches want players that are selfless, that are team guys, that are committed. I think that's really the advice that I got out of that is something that we can do. Coach, Olney Community College in Olney, Illinois. It's Eastern Illinois. It sounds like it's Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois is really where you're looking to those players. Guys, I encourage you to put Coach Handelsman on your list of schools that you're going to take a look at. Take a look at him. All of his information is in the Baseball Bluebook app. And my understanding, Coach, is you're going to be in the app after this call, so I appreciate that. And anything that we can do for you, I appreciate it. Thank you for being on the Are You in the Book podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, Eric. I had a blast.